So this is your heads up to this longer podcast, and it's all about what's stopping me from making today better than yesterday. What is going on when I really want to be into this personal development stuff, if you want to call it that, but I just want to be better, a better me every day. And sometimes, I forget. And why do I forget? What can I do about it so I can be a better me every day? Well, if that's important to you, you'll have a listen after this, because I'm going to tell you how and the why and the who and the what and the where. Hey, this is the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, where we use hypnosis. Yeah, hypnosis. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Don't worry what it is. It's just a mass of processes that we're going to get you to change. Change to let go of anxiety, low self-esteem, and create massive supreme inner confidence. But that's confidence in your competence and competence in your confidence, which means you can do anything and be safe, to enjoy the world as it should be, with you at the helm, creating the life that you want. That's what this podcast is about. You, and being the best you could be, singing from your real voice, aligned with your mission, aligned with your passions. That's what it's about. So if you're interested in letting go of anxiety, if you're interested in letting go of fear, guilt, all those blooming syndromes, imposter syndromes, and every little bit of the mind which is negative, then have a listen here, because we've got some wonderful processes and lots of good conversations between you and me to get us both thinking in such wonderful ways. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Just take the chance to have a listen.
Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Cloughie. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, welcome to, the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. Again, a longer format, slightly longer than the normal, because it's not a 5-minute quickie. 5-minute quickies are there just to really just bounce ideas off, I guess, and get me to think. But today we're talking about what stops me. Because we've talked about things like making today a better day than yesterday. And that sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds right, doesn't it? Doesn't it resonate? Doesn't it make you think, yeah, my life would be so much better if I made today better than yesterday? And think about it intellectually. Just if you made every day that one little bit better than yesterday, what would life be like in a week, a month? Think about it over the whole year, 360, 50, whatever days, getting better. So if it's that good, that right, why don't we do it? Why don't we do it? You see, we know it's right. Well, I know it's right. And I don't always do it. I fall over quite a bit, by the way. And I might say to myself, I can't do it. Not today. But that's an excuse, isn't it? That's trying to look for an excuse not to be responsible for my life. So I have to look at, what's stopping me in this very moment? Because if I was to do this and do it consistently, it would change my life, wouldn't it? And if you were to do it consistently, making today better than yesterday, imagine what that would do to your life if we did it consistently. And even if we were a little bit gentle with ourselves, if we trip up the odd day, as long as our intention is there, part of that day would always be better than yesterday, wouldn't it? You see, I do get days. I get days when I do track and review what I've done in the day. And sometimes I think, yeah, I've done that. And sometimes I really didn't. And I'm really disappointed with myself. And I beat myself up. And You know, some days I even think there's nothing. I've done nothing. This is a little bit of personal stuff coming out here. And I know if I looked into it deeply, I'd find that, yeah, I've done something. But it's that negative, that small percentage of negativity that can overshadow all the good stuff we've done. So some days I might just forget. Simple as that. I get lost up in the world, lost up in what I'm sort of doing, and I don't set my intention. I don't set that thought today is going to be better than yesterday. How can I make it better than yesterday? What a wonderful question. How can I make it better than yesterday? Because if you do that, who are you asking? Who are you really asking? Yeah. You're asking your unconscious mind, aren't you? And what a wonderful question, because you know the unconscious mind, your unconscious mind, my unconscious mind, will go and find answers. Whether it's a bonky, silly, negative question, oh, why can't I do this? Or, how could I make today better than yesterday? Either way, either question gets an answer. But you see, sometimes, as I said, I do it a bit. And doing a bit should be pretty satisfying. But to me, sometimes when I say to myself, well, if I could do it a bit, why am I doing it more? And then what a bonky question. Why aren't you doing it more? Oh, well, I can find some excuses now. But the thing is, think about when you do that. What does it feel like? I'll explain. Let me see if I can get how I feel when I look back on my day and I think, oh, bugger it. There's so much opportunity there in my day. There was. And I didn't take it on. So I'll look over my day. I won't see the things that I've done good because I'm looking for the things I didn't do. Which is crazy because there's thousands of things I didn't do. Only a few I did. But I've got this bonky question of what didn't I do right? What didn't I make better than yesterday? And so I look with my imagination, because I'm imagining it now, aren't I? Trying to recall the day with this negative veil on, as it were, this negative filter. And I start to find those things. Well, I could have done a bit more sketching. Oh, I could have been kinder. Oh, I could have put more effort in. Oh, I could have actually planned my day. Oh, I've got all that stuff. And as I see myself not doing those stuff, I can begin to see myself just go like that. And I can probably hear my inner voice going, yeah, big dollop. God, you're useless. You got to be better than this. And I berate myself. And when I berate myself, it makes it worse. And that feeling in my stomach, well, it's like there's a void. And then there's a bit of frustration. Then there's a bit of anger. Sometimes there's a little bit of fear. There's so many. And then there's guilt. Oh, I forgot about that one. The old guilt comes in. Now, these are all wonderful emotions to spur you on. Are they bollocks? You see, we know. I'm saying we now. A collective we, you and I. We do know, don't we? That if we could set our intention and make today better than yesterday, even in one area of the day, and especially if we pick that area of the day, and we'll go on to that shortly, that would create a massive difference to our lives. It would make a massive difference to all different contexts of our lives, our career, our relationships, our health, our spirituality, our mental health, our physical health, all that stuff. Because it's so much of common sense. And that's the problem with common sense, isn't it? It's so bloody rare. Certainly is in my life, in my head. But you see, if we did, and this part of the common sense of, well, it's so true, making today better than yesterday is, in effect, presupposed in personal development, isn't it? It is, isn't it? It's common sense, and presupposed, I guess, in personal development and personal development unplugged, because we're being open, truthful, honest. That's where we're heading for. And sometimes it could be a journey, an uphill journey. But if we try to make it an adventure, makes it a little bit more exciting, doesn't it? And even when you think of adventures, that gives you that little bit of a different feeling. And when you have a different feeling, you look at things differently. And when you look at things differently, yeah, I know, Cloughie, you're going to say, things appear differently. And they do. They appear different. So let's have a real good look, listen and think and muse about this. What is stopping me? Ask that question to yourself. What is actually stopping me in truth? And basically, it comes down, in my mind, and I'm sure there'll be other things to this that will come to my mind later, but the main thing is adequate planning. Because adequate planning can be as little as setting your intention, setting your state, reminding and remembering. So reminding yourself and remembering yourself to set your state, set your intention. What's my intention? To make this next bit of my life better than yesterday, better than the last time I did it, so I can make today better than yesterday. So it's adequate planning. And the problem is, sometimes we plan too much in the short term. We get sometimes too excited, too motivated, if you can get too motivated, but we tend to overestimate what we can do in the short term. It's a natural thing. And what happens then is, instead of because we always underestimate what we can do in the long term, by the way. It's a massive amount we do in the long term if we do things properly. But when we overestimate what we can do in the short term, we get overwhelmed. That doesn't feel good. We look for excuses, then we don't do it, and then we don't produce in the short term or the long term. All because we didn't plan our day, plan our week. You see, when you plan what you're doing in a way to say, well, how much time will it really take me to do this one thing, these 3 things in my day, in my week? And I bet if you did a record of it, if you wrote all that down in one day, and then you went back over it at night and said, I just gone, even in the moment, said, okay, I've just finished that. I set myself an hour. How long did it take? Oh, damn, it took an hour and a quarter. I'm already behind. That means I'm now got to either speed up on the next bit, or if I'm as good as I just did the first bit, that's going to overrun. And my day's going to, and then I'm going to, then I get the pressure on. Then I look for excuses why I didn't do it, why it took so long. So if you can, a bit like time blocking, I guess, if you time block your week, time block your day, and you leave float, what's float? You just leave a little bit of a gap for doing nothing, to be taken up with the shortfall if you're running short of time, or if you do it on time, you can either start that other one earlier, or you can just take a break, relax, chill. Take that moment to stop and pause. And when you do that, we know when we stop and pause and we maybe just see the wonders of the world or just breathe, then we recharge ourselves. So then we do the next part of our day, we set our intention, because that's the thing that we always must do, and we always forget, or I always forget, so I'm not going to include you in this. We set our intention, set our state, look at the time we've put out, and say, I'm going to do this. And it's so blooming basic, and especially when we review it. Ideally, review it at the time. How long did that one take? Was it the same? Because when you do that, you're getting an idea of how long things do really, really take. Because we haven't allowed for that interrupting phone call, or the knock at the door, or something happening, an email, or bloody just getting onto social media, which we're going to have to cut that out. But the distractions of the day, distractions in that time, we haven't allowed for it. And then when we get a better feel for it, we go, well, it should take me an hour, but I'm going to allow myself an hour and 10 minutes. And that's going to give me 10 minutes of fudge, 10 minutes of if not just breathing and just relaxing with a nice cup of coffee, setting up my next part of my day. So, the 90 seconds of hypnosis tracks. Why have I put hypnosis tracks on a separate website? Well, it's so simple really. I wanted you to have them all in one place so you can look through them all. You can find the particular one you want. I've even made them downloadable so you can put them on any of your playing devices that you prefer. You don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need the iTunes or whatever. You can put them anywhere you like. You can even burn them onto disk if you want. Where do you get them? Well, there you go. I told you it's paulcloughonline.com/podcast. If you're worried about your email address, please don't be, because they stay totally safe with me. I only use them to send you out that email and give you access. Simple as that. I send you a link, a special link, so you and only you can access those hypnosis tracks, because I want them just for you. And the other thing about this is you've taken responsibility. I don't want to make these open to everyone, just random. You have taken responsibility to listen and be part of this community of personal development. And I want to help you. I want to help you personally to get your dreams, your goals. And therefore, I'm giving you these tools, these protocols, these paradigms, whatever you want to call them, but in deep hypnosis. So just enjoy. Have more fun than you can stand with hypnosis. And although I'm reviewing this right now, but I'll also review it in the night, in the evening, just to make sure, because that review is in how did I make today better than yesterday? Now you're looking at how you did it, not why you didn't do it. And that's going to give you a greater sense of motivation, a greater sense of, when you're grateful about that. I'm so grateful about I was able to do that. I'm grateful for my unconscious mind. I'm grateful for me. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful to be able to have this. I'm glad and grateful that I get to do this and I got to do that. That's going to just spur things on even more. And that's so basic too, isn't it? That's common sense. And what do we say about common sense? Yeah, well, it's not always there, is it? So again, what if I can't do this? Because that's assuming I'm aligned, isn't it? I'm aligned and understand what I'm trying to do and why it's important to me. And what does that mean? What are my values? Why? It's my why. Finding my why, the real why. Not the belief behind that, and we'll come with that. But what is so important to me about doing these things? Because each thing we do will have to have some importance. It might not be the biggest why in the world, but it's going to make a difference. Why is it important to do this one better if need be? Better than yesterday. And you see, when you find out your big why, or the whole of, if this is part of a project, your big why of that project, this might be about a relationship. So what is so important to me about having this relationship peak and get better every day? So how do you do that? Because when you find that why, your personal motivation will skyrocket. The energy you'll get will skyrocket. The results you get will skyrocket. When you look back over the day, you're going to go, bloody hell, Cloughie was right. He was so blooming right. Because that's what we did. And that's what it's about. So how do you think about finding this why? Well, you can just think about it. But you know as well as I do, if you think about it, you can forget about it. Because that's what happens. You have to then try to find it. And there's other things that jam in your brain, take possession of the time and your thoughts and squash those little good thoughts out. So what are you going to do? Oh, Cloughie's going to say this. Get you a little puzzle book, piece of paper, a pen, pencil, because you're going to have to write these things down. Because when you write them down, you can come back to them. We'll come into that in a minute. But you think, writing down works. As Joe Rogan said, write that, he didn't say sucker, but write that sucker down, just rhymes. Because when you write it down, it does so many different things. When you write it down, obviously, you have to think about what you're writing. You have to imagine what you're writing. You have to say with your inner voice what you're writing. Everything, every modality, physical modality is actually writing and reading what you wrote. Thinking of the words makes things so much deeper. Getting into those synaptic gaps, making them fire and wire together. So you've got to record it. And when you do, you can come back to it any time. So I didn't quite finish. Great. I'll come back to it. When I come back to it, I start reading it, start writing it. I'm back in the room, as it were. Back in my head. Back in the thought. And you see, let's talk about the what and the how. Because we know now we've got our piece of paper, we've got our pen, we've got our pencil. First of all, I'll say that more correctly. You're going to write, whether it's in the middle like a mind map or on the top as a heading, write down what is it you want to do? What is it you want to achieve? I want to have a great relationship. I want to succeed in this part of my career. I want to do this project so brilliantly. I want to get more healthy. Not more healthy, I want to get really healthy, this type of healthy. I want to be able to run this, go to the gym and do that. I want to do... And you write down the aim. Some people call it a goal, but this isn't goal setting. Write down what you want, the aim in mind. Do it as succinctly as you can. You can do it in present tense. I have this. I'm now doing that. That doesn't bother me either way. Just write down what you want. And then ask yourself, what's really important to me, no one else, to me, about this thing? And write the answer down. And once you've written it down and I don't want you to stop and think, that's a hell of a question, Cloughie. Let's get intellectual. I don't want you to be intellectual. I want you to write what comes to your mind, just like that. And as soon as you've written it down, you say to yourself, what else? You don't read it again. You just go back and go, what else? What else is really important to me about the success of achieving this thing? Write that down. Write that sucker down. When you've written it down, don't reread it just yet. Don't edit it. Say to yourself, what else? What else is important to me about this thing? And I want you to get about, certainly at least 5. But if you can go to 8, maybe 10. 10's on the hard side and it starts to get a little bit blurry. But at least 5 to 7. Well, people don't say 7 now, do they? It's not a 7. But that's a cagey thing. Forget that. I rambled. And as you do that, say we get that top 5, I want you to then look at that page and get a fresh piece of paper and go, and you were to say to yourself, which one is the most important to me? Which one, if I could only have one on this list, would make that, make me sing, make me feel so good? And you can either write that on a separate list or just put a big number 1 beside it. Sometimes I like to put it on a separate list and you can cross it off because it's going to take your eyes away from it. And then you look at that list, you see, because what you're going to then say is, if I could only have one of the remaining 4 now, which would be the most important? And when you look at it, and again, please don't be intellectual about this. Please be instantaneous. What's the thing that what are your eyes drawn to? What do you get a best feeling for? What jumps off the page? And you go, right, that's number 2. Write it down, maybe then cross it off. And then out of the 3 left, what else? What is the next one, the most important? If I could only have one of those, what would be the most important? And you go through those 5. So now on another piece of paper, you have written those 5 most important values to you, but they're in a hierarchy now. They are in that descending order of importance. And then what I want you to do, you see, because that's great to know your values, because you'll know if you're not achieving something, you look at those values and you'll notice something is not getting you that feeling of importance. There's something in the way, because if those values aren't being met, that's why you're not motivated to do it. That's why people call it self-sabotage, which there isn't such a thing, I don't believe. But that's the reason. We look for other ways of not taking responsibility. This is taking responsibility, but responsibility for creating the things that's going to produce those values and produce those values, or the results that give you those values. Maybe a better way of putting it. But the thing is, how do you get those installed into you? Well, imagine this. And if you can, and you can just sit quietly with, if you're not going to be disturbed, maybe you want to just close your eyes a little bit. But before you do, just look at those values. look at the top one. And just imagine, do this one of two ways. Just imagine having that value being met right now. Achieving that goal, that thing you want to have happen. Imagine this top value is being met. How would that make you feel? Maybe how would you see the world? Let's look at the world first. Let's look at the world. How would you see the world differently? Because it would be different. What would you hear? Notice the people around you, and how would all of that make you feel? Let's get the feeling through those other modalities. And then as you got that feeling, maybe imagine sitting next to somebody you really trust. And tell them your experiences of already achieving this dream, this goal, this aim in mind, and explain and describe the feelings you're feeling right now, what you see, what you hear, maybe even what you smell and taste, and this feeling of having this wonderful top value in your life. And then open your eyes. Take a bit of time first. You might want to just pause, and then when you're ready, open your eyes and look at the next value, the second one. Close your eyes. And just imagine having that achieved too. Having that thing that's most important to you being achieved. What would you see? What would you hear, smell and taste? And how would that make you feel? And how would that make you feel when you have this and that top one? So they're now working together. And imagine describing that to someone you love, someone you trust. And as you do that, how does that make you feel? Then, when you've done that, open your eyes, see number 3, and repeat the process. And if you want, once you've gone through those 5, and you're adding to them, so it's when I have this working in tandem with the ones above, how would that be? How would that really be? And just keep going through it more and more. And that's how we're going to start. That's how you're going to start to really understand your values, understand what's important to you. You might even ask, why is this important to me? And you might get a belief as well. Because I really feel this is the way forward. This is my destiny, my journey, whatever it is. Maybe you look for a little why by asking, why is this important? Not what's important to me. Subtle difference. And when you review them again, because you've got all this wonderful feeling of all these different values being achieved and supporting each other, they're aligned, they're integrated. Just feel the whole thing. And how grateful would you be if you achieved this? Because if this thing gave you all of this, how grateful would you be? How thankful would you be? And you see, that's the key. Because we're now looking at this as if we've already completed it. And now we're feeling it, the feeling of the wish fulfilled and that feeling of gratitude. You put these all together. Now when you go to plan your day, everything seems so much more different. You'll see it differently because it will look different. It will feel different. It will pull you towards the success, not push you. You'll be responsible. You'll feel responsible, which is empowerment. And when you feel empowered, you do even more. And then when you review the day, boom. And what I suggest you do is, when you plan your day, you have a quick look at those values. If you wanted to, when you feel all of that and all that gratitude, you could even anchor it, couldn't you? Remember, finger and thumb? Just as you're really feeling that gratitude of everything, just finger and thumb, give it a word. And so when you go to plan your day, or just as you do the one thing in your day, squeeze that finger and thumb together, say that word, feel those feelings again. And you've set your intention. Because you've got the big picture, but you're also doing the baby steps along the way, which means you'll achieve a better day than yesterday. And every day gets better. Every part of your day gets better. And yes, we'll trip up now and again. We really will. Because that's what happens. Shit happens, but we get over it. It's how you get up, not how you trip. And making sure that you get up more times than you trip over. And because when we do trip over, As long as we don't berate ourselves, we look back and go, what can I learn from that? What can I learn from that will make my success even richer? And when you do all of that, you see, funny things happen. Synchronicity. Things just come into play. You meet the right person. You find the right book. The teacher comes along. The experience comes along. The opportunities come along. Yeah, synchronicity just happens because you're working with, in some ways, the universe, the multiverse. Everything conspires with you to achieve the success that you desire, all because now you're feeling the wish fulfilled, but you're also being aligned to your true values. And those values will be aligned to your personal, individual value of who you really are and what life is for you. We'll talk about that another day, going through the values of just who you are and, your own personal values. We'll do a similar thing. I'm not sure when, but we'll do it. Anyway, I hope you really enjoyed that. Please, obviously, you know the whole thing. Let me know. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Just let me know. Send me an email. And I'm not going to overwhelm you with all that stuff. The only thing I'd ask is it would really help if you did enjoy this. Please do share it to one or two people. Not all, not everyone. Not everyone on your contact list with a link and all that stuff. You don't have to do all of that right now. But if you could just share it with one person, because it's going to make a difference to them and it'll make a difference to the audience. It'll make a difference to my ego. But it just means that we're connecting and making a difference to the world. And that's what this is all about. So that's it. I'm not going to go about all the other stuff I normally go on about. That's it. I just want you to achieve your dreams, your goals and desires by understanding what's important to you and how to do that. We're going to go deeper in this again. I know we will, because it's all about, that is the basis of personal development, isn't it? Making every day better than yesterday. So until tomorrow, when it's going to be better than today, have such a wonderful time. Okay. So now, from me, your friend Paul Clough, it's time to fly.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.